Hi Archers! There are a lot of abilities in Archero, however, only a few take the top spot. In today's video, I'll be guiding you through many mistakes you could be doing with the best abilities of Archero. These mistakes can greatly hinder your success rate in beating a chapter, as you may just be stacking the odds against you. My name is Teeds and I make many Archero videos from guides, tier lists, updates, news, and more. Please do subscribe and click the bell for more Archero content. In this video, we'll be talking about why you shouldn't stack Multishot and Front Arrow, and avoid these three abilities with the Tornado weapon and why. So with that, number 1, do not stack Multishot and Front Arrow more than once. Before we begin, the data for this specific topic will be based off our dedicated Archero mod, Multishot. I am so sorry if I am saying your name wrong. I have a tendency to really butcher names. I will be linking their Reddit post in the description box below if you'd like to have a better understanding of the calculations. Thank you for your hard work, Multishot. Multishot is one of the best abilities in the game, and it's an ability that you should always pick up if you haven't picked it up yet. When picking up Multishot, you will have 15% reduced attack speed and 10% reduced damage. In return, you now have an extra attack. This will reapply every time you pick up Multishot again, so another 15% attack speed and 10% damage taken on the current value. Picking up one Multishot at least once is mandatory for Archero. In my opinion, it is the best ability in the game. However, this does not mean you should pick it up multiple times. Once is enough. Multishot has calculated this for us. You can find the exact equation in the Reddit post. Basically, the equation factors in damage per shot, number of multi-shots picked up, number of arrows, attack speed, critical chance, and critical multiplier. With a base attack of 1647 on a level 40 epic bow, one multi-shot is 2506 or 1253 damage each arrow, which is a 1.52 increase. Picking up two multi-shots is 2753 or 917 damage per arrow, which is a 1.67 increase. 3 multi-shots is 2525 or 631 damage per arrow, which is a 1.53 increase. From these calculations, we can see that 1 multi-shot versus 3 multi-shots is not that different at all, with only a 19 damage increase, which is extremely laughable considering how hard it is to pick up another multi-shot. As far as I know, you can only pick up extra multi-shots from the devil, and each time you take an ability from the devil, you lose 20% max HP from your current health value. We can see that 2 multi-shot pickups show a higher increase with 247 damage, but to have 2 multi-shots, you'd have to trade 20% of your current max health with the devil, which is not worth it for that small increase. Picking up multiple multi-shots also make it harder to stutter step, and in my opinion, it is much more important and valuable damage-wise to be able to stutter step for that increase in damage and attack speed. All in all, it's much better to just pick up multi-shot once. There are some small benefits of picking up multi-shot more than once, like if you're running the Death Scythe, each arrow still applies a knockback, and as the epic Death Scythe also has a built-in headshot effect, you have a higher chance of a headshot proc. If you're running the Sword Blade, it may be more beneficial to pick up multiple multi-shots as you already have high attack speed. Having multiple multi-shots gives you time to redirect your hits to another target instead of wasting a shot. For example, let's say you pick up 2 multi-shots, which is 3 arrows in total. If you killed one target with 2 arrows, you can redirect the third arrow to another target so it's not wasted. To do this, you basically just move your character to another direction. And if you are using a fast weapon, it is harder to do, but it's still doable. And having multiple multi-shots can combo nice with diagonal arrows and bouncy wall. As you have so many arrows flying around, it really gives you that feels good factor. There are statements and questions about other potential benefits of picking up multi-shots, such as how it affects the other elemental arrows. However, without the exact damage values, it's not something I can confidently discuss. But maybe we'll leave that for another video. Front Arrow is also another ability that is top tier and should also be picked up at least once. Every time you pick up Front Arrow, you lose 25% damage but gain an extra arrow when firing a single attack. So one Front Arrow is 2470 or 1235 damage each arrow. 2 Front Arrows is 2753 damage or 917 damage each arrow, and 3 front arrows is 1,647 damage or 411 damage each arrow. Another issue on why you would only want to pick up front arrow once is because usually the third arrow would not hit the enemy. The hitbox is too small in most cases. This makes picking up front arrow more than once even weaker, as you'd have a rogue arrow that is pointless in most fights. Only some bosses would take all hits from multiple front arrows, which is definitely not worth it, especially if you're losing health for a small increase in damage. In conclusion, the sweet spot would be picking up multi-shot and front arrow only once. Damage boosters would benefit you much better than picking up multiple front arrows and multi-shots. From personal experience, I definitely felt a decrease in damage when I picked up multiple multi-shots and front arrows. I had been meaning to do the calculations myself, but then the heroes came up, and this information here is actually relevant to Tyrannus, who I will be speaking about in my next hero guide. So I could not just push this video back again. Thank you again, Lee Mateague, for putting the calculations together for all of us. Please do check out his Reddit post. He has also calculated the damage values of multi-shot and front arrow together. Number 2, do not pick up these abilities with a tornado weapon. The tornado weapon is one of the most strongest and popular item choices in the game. It is a boomerang that deals return damage as it returns to you, and in its epic form, it will deal bonus return damage. There are cons to this weapon that players may still be applying to their runs, and that's your ability choices. Unfortunately, these abilities actually cut the damage of the tornado. Before I get into the abilities, we need to first understand the damage of the tornado and how it works. With a base damage of 409 and using a level 1 common tornado, I dealt 327 damage per initial shot and 160 damage per return shot. To understand the tornado a little better, the tornado deals 80% of your base damage with the initial shot and 55% of your initial shot as return damage. For the epic tornado, there is an epic effect where the tornado is granted 25%. I won't go into detail about it, but the values seem to be off. The wiki page states that there is a 25% bonus damage increase on the return shot, however my calculations added up to 20% or roughly around there, but I will work that out for another video, so we're just going to keep it with the common level 1 tornado for now. A little preface, if you really enjoy using any of these abilities, then please keep using them. Just because they make your damage weaker doesn't mean you can't pick them up. It's important that you're enjoying the game, but if you're looking to maximize your damage output, then this is relevant for your runs. Another important note is that so far, the math in Archero is a bit inconsistent. I've done a lot of calculations to try and add it up to their numbers, but none of the equations or methods can reach their answers. So please do keep in mind that the answers will be a little off, but not off enough to make a massive difference. First of all, let's talk about one of the most popular abilities in the game, and that is Ricochet. A lot of you should be familiar with Ricochet. It is a strong ability that causes your attacks to jump between enemies. Your attacks will bounce 3 times between nearby enemies. The damage is reduced by 30% per enemy hit, which is applied before other damage modifiers. So with my initial shot being 327 damage, the next enemy will take 98 damage, then 29, then 8. So you can see the damage is just stupid low, and of course the value will be higher when you're stronger. However, it still won't beat the return damage. If there are no enemies near your target, then the tornado will deal the return damage as normal. Next is another player favorite, and that's Bouncy Wall. Bouncy Wall is an amazing ability that pairs up so nicely with the multiple arrow family, especially diagonal arrows. However, when it bounces, the damage will be reduced by 50% each time. Just like Ricochet, Bouncy Wall takes away your return damage. So instead of dealing 179 damage as a return shot, you deal 163 damage instead, and after that, according to my Archero numbers, I dealt 89 damage on the second bounce. However, it should have been 81 if the damage is still being reduced by 50%. This is an example of what I meant by inconsistent math. Anyway, the difference doesn't seem that big. Well, the con to Bouncy Wall is that you're less likely to hit the same enemy, and when I say less likely, I mean very, very unlikely in comparison to the tornado's return damage. The thing with tornado is that it will always hit the enemy you've targeted twice as long as you're facing that enemy. You will, however, deal more crowd damage, but I find it much more valuable to kill off enemies quicker over trying to deal as much damage as you can to multiple enemies in one go. If you take out one enemy, that's one enemy less to deal with. If you are trying to deal damage to all enemies over time, you're still dealing with all enemies in that time frame, which makes a huge difference. So I tested the time difference between Bouncy Wall and a no Bouncy Wall boss fight. On Chapter 3, against the Bat boss, with Bouncy Wall and Diagonal Arrows, it took me 26 seconds. Without Bouncy Wall, it took me 16 seconds. None of the footage shown here had any damage boosters or anything like that. I did have side arrows on the no Bouncy Wall footage, but I could never hit the boss with that anyway, and I had to pick it up because the other pickups were things that would have made a difference. So with that, there was a 10-second difference because the damage was just less with Bouncy Wall. Another ability that you shouldn't pick up is Pierce, because the Tornado already has a built-in Pierce effect. In conclusion, it is much more beneficial to use Tornado for the reason that it is strong. And the reason that it is strong is because it has a built-in return damage effect and a Pierce. Picking up Ricochet and Bouncy Wall takes away that unique return effect. If you take away that effect, you might as well just use the Death Scythe, the Brave Bow, or the Soul Blade, as you would not gain any cons from picking up these abilities. Remember, the Tornado is a very strong weapon due to its special effects. If you take that away, it's not really anything special anymore. Bouncy Wall combo and Ricochet is still very fun to do on the Tornado, especially on lower chapters where you're pretty strong. If you have fun with it, roll with it. But if you're looking to maximize the damage output of the Tornado, just pick up attack boost, attack speed boost, and any enhancements. Diagonal arrows, side arrows, and rear arrows still work extremely well on the Tornado without the Bouncy Wall, as you will be dealing the initial and return damage on all of your arrows and hitting multiple enemies. And honestly, it's kinda like Bouncy Wall anyway because it does return to you after it hits a wall. And that is all for today's video. I will be doing another video talking about other ability mistakes, but it's hard to get the numbers when my energy is very limited. The Tyrannus Guide will be out next. If you found this video helpful or enjoyed it, please do subscribe and click the bell, it really helps me out. Any likes and comments would be super rad, and I hope to see you again for the next one. Bye!